Okay, welcome everybody. Right, our next item is the Ahuaki Waipa Community Spatial Plan, and Kirsty and Vanessa, hand over to you.
Morena, everyone. I hope you had a good start to your meeting. The main purpose of this presentation today is really to go into draw into the details of the community engagement phase, which is due to start over the next couple of weeks. So I will do a little bit of a recap on what our purpose for the community engagement were, and what we had actually agreed previously in the last SPNP. We also look at the schedule, which has been finalized last week. Some of the material as well, your involvements during those events, and then we would look at the next steps, including the special consultative process. So a little bit of a recap on what we had aimed for the community engagement. As we know, we had discussed having a roadshow. So we're going across the district and going to actually those communities who likely not have been engaged over the past decade or the last 5 years, and having actually stops in most of the growth areas that were highlighted in the 2050 Waipa growth strategy. We had decided to this engagement is really to kind of lift all the discussion, which is likely to be induced by the future scenario document for the interim draft plan. So it's to get actually some buy-in for the community, but also to really start understanding the level of prioritization that we need to have when we look at the intervention outline in this document. I have outlined the 3 main questions that will be asked to the committee, being, is this actually the future that you see yourself in? Reminding ourselves that that's the first time that we're going on engagement on a document who has the 30 years planning horizon. So we've never really asked our communities to think that way, to think spatially, to think strategically, to that level of terms. So that's also intergenerational kind of plan. Thanks. And also to look at the priorities, as I just said, and if anything has been missed, which is normally the level of question that we go for any level of engagement. As you know, the future scenario, which is the main document that we are engaging on, contain 9 different topics, and we will be asking the community their feedback on those 9 topics, and we have outlined them quite significantly over the last few meetings that we have within this committee, and for each of those topics, we had we had developed a set of maps. It is a spatial plan, so we need to represent the intervention spatially, and those maps are found as well in the future scenario document that we put out there for consultation. For each of those thematic map, for each of those topics maps, we know that we have some key strategic moves. When we talk about key strategic moves, those are interventions, that require a change of direction from our BAU, if you want, or from our long-term plan, or from our initial kind of base kind of scenarios. We've picked up all those key moves and have established what we call a key strategic move maps, which is an outline of all those big intervention to be actually prioritized within the district and at a district level. Sorry. Oh. Okay. Yeah. And all those maps, our maps, will be actually displayed during the community engagement at different events. And I'm going to touch on the material will have been actually developed based on those technical maps. So just to outline again, those maps are very technical. They're probably based for our, yeah, they have a certain level of jargon. They are a spatial plan maps. So those maps had to be translated to become community engagement material. And I'm going to touch on this in the next slide on the presentation. We also have developed place-based maps. So remembering that one of the purpose of Ahuake, Waipa Community Spatial Plan, is also to provide this level of engagement that we would have sought during the town concept plan refresh or during the village concept plan refresh. So we're not only going on an engagement from a district-wide perspective, looking at infrastructure, looking at constraints, looking at character of places in comparison to one another. We're also drilling down to the places and see actually if the level of priorities that we have either in our long-term plan, the immediate one, 24-44, and also in the following ones, is still the level of priority that we need to have at the town or a village scale. So it's going to be quite an interesting engagement for people to think at a district-wide level, but also for them to understand what does that mean within their village, within their streets, within their day-to-day kind of commute as well. The community engagement, as we discussed earlier on, is quite significant. We have 11 stops across the district. We also have, so 11 stops, meaning 11 places where we would schedule events and where we will be hosting events. But it also means that we need to actually interact with those stakeholders within those locations as well. And so I've outlined here the schedule for the next couple of months, which is going to be a very busy month for Kirsty and I, as we will be attending every event and doing also every presentations. So events are in orange, presentation are in blue, stakeholders webinars are in green. We also have any kind of internal communications in purple. So that has already started with the start drop-in session last week, and I'm very happy to report the level of success that it has been. We had over 86 attendees to that first webinar, which is quite significant, which is was overwhelming also and really heartwarming. The level of interest from our staff has been fantastic, and they then volunteering their time within. I could be actually quite emotional about this, but yeah, it's been absolutely outstanding, and I can't thank them enough for taking their time and putting their interest in there into what this project can be delivering, not only for from the strategy team, but as a wider for the organization as well. So a very heavy calendar ahead, but I think it will be very much worth it. So that was the event for last week. This week we have the presentation at the Kihi Ratepayers Association, and we will also be attending the Tanui Games this Saturday and this Sunday, Kirsty and myself.
So whereabouts is that, the Tanui Games? Yeah, that's what I presumed, and I just wondered.
We won't be participating in events. No. We will be talking.
So you're looking for Waipa residents in Hopoho, essentially?
Essentially, when the team reached out to our JMA partners, Waikato Taina, we said, look, we're hosting this event and we have an expo venue. we'd like you to be part of that. So it's actually led by Plan Change 23, Papakainga, but we will be there to do the scene setting for Ahuaki.
Good as gold. Yeah. Okay, that sounds good. So carry on.
Just thank you to those of you who've responded to us reaching out and asking for your participation in events. That's been great. We are a little light on one event in particular, and that's the Rukahia event on the 8th of March. So if there are others of you that are able to attend, I know that Liz, you've put your hand up for that one, but we would like some more assistance if that's possible. We will be reaching out to the community boards too. I've spoken with Joe today. So again, particularly light for support from TA at the TA events from community boards. So just for your awareness, if you have contact with community board members, please encourage them to come along and participate in those events.
Will you be, I'd quite like to know what other elected members are attending and what we're not attending. Is there a list that can come out to us around who is going to be there and who isn't? Because
absolutely, and we will be sending out invitations. Look, the team have been working some long hours pulling everything together, so it was at the end of last week when the lists were pulled together. So
I think honestly our general community would like to know which elected members are going to be present at which ones as well, as an opportunity to connect. I mean, Mary Ann's over there in the corner, she might like to print who's going to be at which one. She's hiding now.
So if the
but it is an opportunity to connect, right? So
Liz, if elected members have a level of comfort, then we could look to put elected member attendees on the website with the calendar of information.
Everyone okay with that? Philip?
Yep, no, I'm happy with that. The Cambridge Chamber of Commerce, it's a new date. Whereabouts is that venue, please?
So that's at the Onyx. At Onyx is the 16th of February event. They've sent out an invitation to their members. Yes, the 16th of February event. Yes. Yes, it's in the calendar, which is in your briefing pack for the workshop. Just of time, so if we can move on, and if people have got queries, then please come back to Vanessa or myself directly on this.
Yeah, we are also receiving, we had reached out to a lot of stakeholder groups back in November, October, November, and we're starting receiving some response. So the Ohopo Rotary Club has just come back to us this morning. So we added them actually on the 23rd of February as well. But that's pretty much where we will probably draw the line. Now, so just a quick overview of what's going to happen from
I agree with your comment as you went through that those technical maps are probably too technical to go out, and that you're making place-based presentations. Is it possible that we could have a look at those well before, so we can inform ourselves before we attend the events?
So we are going to provide you with full briefing material before you attend events. We're not expecting you to attend on the fly or on the basis of this work, which is work in progress. I think we've provided it to you with a preface that it is still being worked up by the designers. So certainly you will have access to information so that you feel as fully prepared as you can be going into those events. We're just working to really tight timeframes, and I'm sure you'll all appreciate.
Absolutely. And look, one of the things I'm quite mindful of, and Claire will agree, when we go out to our smaller communities, there are outstanding issues that are going to be raised. So we need to be, obviously, those councillors who operate in that area will be kind of guided, for those, because I'm hoping that we will have lots of cross-councillor, participation for those, Cambridge councillors over on the Te Amuru side, Parongia side, but we will be led by local councillors on some of the issues that are still outstanding, or what we know are going to be hot topics as such. So I don't expect those to be in the briefing papers, but just as a preparation for ourselves, I think it's important. Claire,
just on that point, Liz, because you mentioned you know, the village concept plans and things like that have been recently done. So will that maybe, you know, a one-pager on those be available at the meetings? Because, you know, some of the community people that come along, they may well be saying, well, you know, we participated in the village concept plan refresh and it looks like you're doing something different. I mean, just so that we've got, oh, well, yeah, but these are the key points and yes, that matches that and that, you know, like just so that you can demonstrate how Ahuaki is actually aligned with those recent documents.
So we'll certainly, it's we've done it in the back end, but we'll make a note of that to talk that through as to how we make sure we cover that off. Thank you.
So yeah, besides just speaking really to have an overview over the level of events and presentation that will be conducted over the next couple of months, and providing you now with an overview of the collaterals will have been developed for that purpose. So a lot of work, again, I'll just reinforce this. We're quite a small team when you think about it, trying to pull out all of this together within a matter of a few weeks. So we have info boards will be installed in every location that we are attending an event, prompting the community to look on our website for any dates and time and location of our venues. So those boards will be actually installed in the next couple of weeks, I think from the 13th, from next week. In all those town and villages that we will be visiting.
Sorry, just a question on that. So Hazel is just ringing in my ears right now around those who are not on websites or the usual places. So I'm just going to clarify. So libraries will be, information will be at libraries, council offices, but did you say in the communities as well? So for example, in Pirongia, will there be information promoting when the event is going to be?
Yep,
okay.
Exactly. So I'm going to go through the entire set of so that you can kind of understand where we're going with that kind of strategy on trying to outreach the different level of audiences, digital, non-digital.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah.
During those events, we will have those thematic boards, so the thematic maps that I was outlining early on have been now translated into those more community-friendly, if you want, maps, where we'll be actually receiving feedback directly on those boards during those events. So they are very large boards, 2 meters by 1. There, and they will be installed into Constantine. So every topics that we have reviewed within the future scenario will have actually a 2 sets of thematic boards with the maps on it for people to kind of engage on. And we're intending to have staff manning each of those boards, where we have actually people in transport looking at the transportation board, having parks and facilities and heritage people looking at the heritage and environmental board. So to have a bit of an expertise around each of those thematic boards. So those ones will be at events within the community halls, and there will be also a material where we receive feedback on. And we will have, just to answer your question, Liz, we will have flyers. So we have customized flyers which have been developed for each locations, and will be actually distributed all across the district to let them know that there is an event.
Do you mean to people's letterboxes?
Yes. Yeah.
So there's an individual flyer
going around. Yeah,
that's brilliant, because so often we end up outnumbering the people that arrive at the event, more staff and councillors and very few residents as such. So that's fantastic. If there's
so that's an example of a flyer. So there is one made for each location that we're going to as well, prompting them for an event happening near them. We have, yep, sure.
Remember that when we did those community barbecues, you also had, signboards on the side of the road.
So that's what Vanessa just showed you before. So if you go back, Vanessa,
that board
there, they're going to be erected in the towns and villages.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. The ones that I mean, that's great. I mean, the ones that I remember were actually quite simple. You know, just we're having a community event here at this time, come along, because people that are driving along can pick that up. Yeah. Whereas only people that we're walking could actually work that out, I guess. But at least they'll notice it. They will, won't they? So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And might stop, or it might encourage conversation amongst community members. So they will be placed into villages and towns.
And we're reusing those locations who had been used before, where we know there is actually traffic and there is stopped traffic for people to be able to read, because there's a lot of content in there, but they are actually in those locations where those level of detailed in an info have been actually provided before. So that yeah, we're kind of continuing on the success of previous engagement. Yeah. So going back to the flyers, as I said, they will be, they have been actually customized flyers and will be actually distributed across the district. We have a giant map, and I'm afraid I was trying to actually get the last version of it, which is looking way better than this initial kind of version. But that is the giant map that will be set in the middle of the event. So when the committee members will be arriving either within the hall or under the marquees, the thematic boards will be actually surrounding the setting, and the giant map will be set in the middle. And the giant map is made of a kind of plasticky kind of material where people can walk on it. So it's a 5 by 5 meter giant map, where we can actually start really for people to kind of project themselves within the district and start discussing about the different themes that would have been actually outlined in the surrounding thematic boards. We also have a hard copy survey. Again, I was hoping to have an example for you today. We can do it on time. These are A5 documents, paper documents that would can be open to a A2 size documents, and they have pretty much all the key strategic moves on there, and they will be used as well to receive feedback. There is, if you go actually on your packs a little bit more closer, because that's probably not the level of details on the PowerPoint presentation, but each theme is again represented within the hard copy surveys, and that's really for people who don't have this kind of digital kind of literacy to be able to provide as well an extra level of feedback. The only caveat that I will have here is that it probably will be more difficult there to capture feedback at a place-based scale, because really the questioning is on the district-wide scale, but doing all of this within the A5 document is very limiting. So, and I'm sure that the community will tell us what they want to tell us about their village when they need to tell us. So it's not really the platform. It'd be more about what they have what they want to tell us as well. The hard copy survey, we also have the social pinpoint. So this is the one we're working really hard at the moment on to finalize development of, but probably will be our one source of truth for the community engagement. This is where we will end up having all the discussion from the community being put into. Every time we will receive actually feedback at events on a piece of paper, those will be translated into a discussion board within Social Pinpoint. So it is a very significant, very important digital platform, which will be used for us to analyze the feedback as well. So that the entire community, if they want to actually have a look at what's been said and what's been discussed, they will have actually a public record of a different kind of level of discussion happening live within the social pinpoint as well. Yeah.
Just a quick question, each of the last slide around the flyer. And there's a, before we start category there, of just where you live and age sort of demographic. Yeah, that one there. I'm just wondering, would it be pertinent to put ethnicity in there, just to start collecting some data on this as we're trying to engage particularly Māori more and more? Is there a reason? You've obviously thought of it.
We have had that question from some of our PCG members, and we decided against from a public was it privacy? Yeah. Do you want to speak to it?
Yeah, just to add to what Vanessa said, I guess we're wanting this to be inclusive, and there was questions around, I guess, not just ethnicity, but also place of origin. And so I think we were, yeah, in terms of, and I guess in short, an answer to your question, Mike, that these pieces of collateral have already gone to the printer. They're already being worked on, so they're being shared with you, so you're familiar with what we're going to be going out with. But in terms of making changes to content now, that opportunity has passed. Yeah.
Just on the same thing, just down underneath the map, you've got the survey camera you return to council offices or libraries, but there's no date. Will you tell someone, okay, you can't change that? Is there some date that you'd like that back by?
Sorry, I didn't.
The return date. So there is a date. The date is
on the
provided for.
The blue on the bottom. Yeah, that's when it says feedback is open until 25th of March. Yes, 27th of March. Yeah. And that's in all the material that we've outlined as well. Yeah, so the social pinpoint is very much important for us to have developed, well, to develop that correctly. As I said, it will be our main document, our main platform to use when we receive this feedback, and how we're going to actually use this feedback. So it needs to be designed quite meticulously for this to be carried out. And the last point on the engagement coverage, and I think it's quite important, again, on the back of your comment list, just to ensure that the entire community is actually involved into that roadshow. We have actually asked from our JS team to make a bit of an analysis on a 10-minute drive journey and what it meant from the event, from the location of events, to look a little bit at what would be actually the engagement coverage, and if we were to actually miss any communities. So the yellow buffer and circles are outlining those 10 minutes drive, well, 10 minutes drive from the location. And that's probably what you would actually consider to be a BAU for our more rural communities, to have those 10-minute journey here and there during the day. And that's really to kind of align with the 10 minutes neighborhood as well that we're trying to lift within the future scenario document. All the areas outlined in the pink are those areas where there probably is a bit of a gap when it comes about coverage of engagement. So what we'll be doing there is actually sending letters. We have actually identified around 2,700 addresses, not always residential because we don't have this level of detail, but we have actually just under 3,000 addresses that we will actually send a letter to let them know that there is an engagement occurring at the moment. We will be outlining all the events so that they know actually where events are being conducted over the next 6 weeks. And we will also be providing a hard copy survey within the envelope as well as free postage for the people to actually send this back if they can't manage their way towards an event location. So really intending for this engagement to be completely inclusive of digital literacy or not, mobility or accessibility, and ensuring that we can actually reach out to absolutely everyone. So it's a big work. And we still need to stuff this envelope with 3,000 envelopes, but we will have this done, because that's exactly what the project is intending to do. Yeah.
Oh, look, thank you for that. Look, the consultation with our community is the most important thing or the most important part of this whole Ahuaki community spatial plan. So what I see in front of us now is an excellent strategy and execution to really connect with our residents and to offer options in person, online. It's all there. So now all we need is of course, our community to engage, provide us with some excellent feedback. And yeah, really looking forward to this part of it. Actually, this is the most interesting part for us, is to hear all the new ideas and get really excited about what the future of IPAR could potentially be. So are there any other questions for Kirsty, Vanessa, any other last minute?
If we can just take you to the next slide, which is the time frame. So just to highlight, I guess to add to the point that you've made, Liz, I think it's fair to say that we haven't engaged with the community on a scale quite like this previously. So we're, you know, as a staff team, really excited, but to be also connecting with you elected members, community boards and our wider community, really excited. In terms of the timeframe, just wanted to flag there that the PCG has previously, we've reported through to the PCG and we've spoken to the PCG about a launch date of the 13th of February. As Vanessa mentioned, we've already got events and presentations that are kicking off this week. A lot of work going into that social pinpoint platform. So we're doing our very best to be able to have that ready as close to the 13th of February as we can. Finally, this leads into a formal special consultative procedure. So there's a lot of work to take that feedback from the community to then incorporate that into the revised draft plan to then form the basis of a special consultative procedure with a formal consultation process. I'd just like to acknowledge the huge commitment, hard work from the project team, but in particular, I'd like to acknowledge Vanessa in her role as project manager, putting in a lot of additional hours of your own time, because this is something that you're genuinely passionate about, and also to acknowledge the collateral that you've seen on the screen that's been shared with you, led by Reagan, but also ably supported by our summer intern, Alicia, who has been making connections with community organisations and ensuring that we are best supported going into those events. So just want to acknowledge huge team effort from you also, but yeah, thank you, much appreciated.
Yeah, no, that sounds fantastic. All right, we're looking forward to the next step, the next stage. As I say, we're right behind you, and we'll get. Obviously, we're all endeavouring to get to as many as we possibly can as well. Okay, everybody. With that, we will break for lunch. If we can be back in just after 10 to 1, please, for our next workshop item, which is our future